Hello everyone. In this session, we are going to discuss Agile methodology and models.
And this is very important. People who are all listening the videos, please listen this part carefully, because whatever we discussed so far, waterfall model and iterative model, they are older models and traditional models, but this agile is a new model and it's a modern model. Okay, so the reason is like they have the team sit down and they come up with an approach rather than a model. They did not come up with any other new models. Okay, it may be confusing. Like, see, whatever we discuss is a model. Okay, waterfall model. Using this waterfall model, we can do a product development. Software development can be achieved using this. And using this iterative model, you can divide the requirement into 50-50 and do the software here to a. And then once 50% of software is done, you add another 50% in iteration too, right? Now, here they are saying, I don't want to propose a model to you, but I wanted to propose a principle, a process, so that using my principles, my process, you can design any models and you can work on it. Okay, that is what agile methodology. So I hope most of you can understand this. But there are few people who still think, oh no, I still didn't get you, Jay. I want you to just give me some good examples. So I'll just give a very basic example. Okay, I'm going to I'm going to a road. Okay, I'm driving a car, and in my street I have I'm driving the car. Everything is okay, but I face some problem in the street. Okay, so in the street there is a problem. So I wanted to the road is not good. So I'm complaining and then I'm fixing the road. Now again I'm facing there is some other problem. I don't have any other dividers or something. So I get the divider. So now, instead of doing all this thing, I come up with an process of, okay, if a person need to drive a car on a road should be in certain condition. It should have a proper divider. In order to drive at night, it should have some lights, the reflectors, and the end of the both side of the road should have a decent curves. So if I come up with some way of guidelines or rules of how the road should be, that is a methodology, that is a process. Similarly, the guys who developed the agile, they come up with the agile methodology, they developed a process. Okay, the process says agile methodology is iterative. Okay, it's iterative. When they say iterative, it's similar to this. Okay, it can happen in iteration. An incremental approach. There's an incremental model is also there, but for now you think like it's an iterative. It goes in an iteration and in incrementation. Incremental is like slowly developing one by one, at the same time getting a feedback as well. Okay, that emphasize on flexibility, collaboration, and customer satisfaction. So I would rate, you can leave this. You can easily get it what it is, but I want you all to listen carefully on this one. Flexibility, collaboration, and customer satisfaction, these are all very important. What is flexibility? Anytime a customer should able to give a feedback and we should be able to change. We should be allowing the change to happen, because change is inevitable. Change can happen. We are all human beings. We come up with something and then we think, okay, this is not a good way, we need to change it. So the software development model should be flexible enough to make the change. And secondly, collaboration. You need to collaborate with the team rather than make an individual decision. Whatever the product you are going to develop, you have to collaborate so that the ideas come from all the direction rather than from one direction. And then customer satisfaction. For whom we are building a software, for whom we are developing all these things, for customer. So at the end of the day, customer satisfaction is our ultimate goal. We should develop a software for a customer rather than for anyone else, right? So these are all, this looks reasonable and very looks correct, right? That's the biggest success of agile methodology. It focuses on delivering small working increment of software frequently, allowing for a quick feedback adaptation to the changing requirements. As I said earlier, changing requirements is inevitable. It will be changing. So in order to adapt to the change, they are saying we should develop a very small working increment of software. What does it mean? Instead of waiting for ages to develop a software, just work for a month or few weeks, develop a small software, and then once that is done, then go add another functionality, and then add another functionality in next to 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, and then just get a quick feedback and adapt to the change. Okay, so that's the major focus. And now key principles of it. There are 12 major principles of agile methodology, but it will be like covering all those things will not be, even then covering all these things, it will be good, but then it's not very essential, as the core concept is whatever I have just mentioned is this is a core concept. So if you understand this, then you get a better idea. And I'm planning to have a separate session for Agile, so you can also watch that. Now, key principles of Agile. Just give some key principles of Agile here. So individuals and interactions over process and tools. Instead of relying on process or tools, we have to rely on individuals, the team, and the interactions over the team. That's where I said a collaboration. Working software over comprehensive documentation. Instead of seeing everything in a document, a requirement document or design document, you better view it in a working software. You see the software, as I said earlier, develop a software in 3-4 weeks of time, and then see it, visualize, see that software and understand what is it satisfying your need, or do we need to change it. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Instead of, so if the people are going to build a software, say they are going to have a contract and everything, etc. Now instead of that contract negotiation or doing all those things, you just talk to the customer. Okay, collaborate with the customer and just understand what his needs. Okay, now next thing is responding to change or following a plan. So instead of you draft a plan, this is how I'm going to build it, this is how I'm going to do it. Instead of blindly following a plan, you just respond to the change. If there is a change in plan, if there is change in something, just respond to the change, act efficiently to satisfy the customer. Okay, so these are all the principles and main uh, manifesto for agile. Okay, using this agile methodology, there are several models that came. Okay, but we were going to discuss two successful models, maybe two successful models, and here, okay, in this session. Now let's so as I said earlier, the most important point, agile is not a model, agile is a methodology. Okay, using the agile methodology and also the key principle that has been mentioned in the agile manifesto, we can develop any model, we can develop models with this. Okay, from this agile methodology, a successful, very successful model has been developed. That model is called scrum model. Okay, so scrum is a widely used agile framework for managing a software development projects. It emphasizes iterative development, collaboration, flexibility to high quality software incrementally. So as I said earlier, it uses the agile principle. Okay, and it comes up with a framework. Framework is nothing but set of guidelines and rules to manage the software development projects. Okay, what are all the guidelines and rules? I'll tell you some key components of the Scrum model. Okay, in the Scrum model, just think about there's a manager or someone that is related to the Scrum master. So there will be so I'll just give a very good, quick and also a short example. Scrum model. Okay, how it looks in a software company. A Scrum model can have around 10 people. Okay, and in terms of roles, there will be developers. So the roles of developers and testers is going to be same in Scrum model as well. So there will be some developers and there will be some testers. On top of it, the people who manage the team is Scrum master. Okay, he or she don't actually manage it, but then collaborate with the team and make decision. Okay, and product owner is nothing but the person who's the owner of the requirements. Okay, for example, it can be a customer side product owner or it can be a business senior business analyst. So you can act as a product owner, depends upon the product. Now there will be some business analyst. Okay, and artifacts. So there will be product backlog, sprint backlog. So it's like, what is backlog is nothing but requirements. If we have, we say that as a backlog, set of requirement that sits in the particular place, which where we need to work on that requirement, we call that as a backlog. Okay, now you got an idea. In a software company, as I said, 10 people, some developers, testers, the scrum masters and owners. That's how the team looks like. That's, they're saying this is how a team, scrum team should look like. Okay, and what are the events that can happen there? So sprint. So a software iteration usually 2 to 4 weeks long. That means you don't need to wait for a month to perform anything. You have, example, 3 weeks. I'll take in 3 weeks as an example. You have 3 weeks of time. Within the 3 weeks of time, you have to design a software. I mean, you are sorry. You need to get the requirements, and you need to implement it and test it and just finish it. The important point is, within that 3 weeks of time, go back here, within that 3 weeks, all this activity will be happening. Okay, leave this maintenance, sometimes won't be deployment. So all this activity will be happening in a 3 weeks of time. Exciting, right? Yes, you don't need to wait for this activity to be completely to complete. I mean, like, you don't need to wait for this activity to 100% complete. We can, if you take a 10% requirement, the 10% requirement will be, analysis will be completed, design will be completed, implemented, tested, done and dusted. Okay, that is scrum model. And the rituals, the daily rituals will be happening in the scrum model, like sprint. I'll start with the daily stand-up. So usually a short 15-minute stand-up, they give an update, and then planning meeting, sprint planning meeting will be happening, and then a sprint, a time box iteration. That's, as I said, like, it will be 3 weeks long. So within the 3 weeks, you'll be completing a whole software development life cycle. Exciting. And a demo for dev or testers or BA, sprint review. So as soon as you finish the 3 weeks of time, you give a review. And retrospective, most important point, once 3 weeks is completed, team sits together, discuss and find out what is the uh, how, what went well, what did not go well, how to improve the team. All those feedback will be happening in retrospective. So so you may be asking a question, hey Jay, what are you saying? Are you saying something as a team and all those things? Whatever I'm saying here, okay, that is how it happens in an IT company. Okay, this is a modern life cycle model, and that's how a team will be. The team will be structured. So what we are seeing now is like how a team will be structured for a software project. How how many weeks they will be working, how they plan the work, how they give the status. Okay, how many weeks it will be designed, how they'll be planning the work, how they give the updates like this, how they review, how they just give a demo of the work they have been done, how they will discuss the feedback. All these things, these are all guidelines. Okay, they're giving the guidelines. A sprint can be 2 to 4 weeks long. Okay, those guidelines are given by a scrum model in this model. So you have to adapt it according to your project needs, and then you have to use it, right? So now there is one more model I want to discuss as well. Is Kanban model. Okay, so Kanban is uses the agile methodology, but it's a little bit different. Okay, they have a Kanban board. The board will be a bit different. So they don't time box it. The major difference is here it says like time boxing to 2 to 3 weeks, 4 weeks, right? They don't time box it. They just keep working, like they will take some requirements. They will, they again, most of these things will be same. But then instead of time boxing, they will be keep on working on the requirements. If one person finish the work, they'll be picking another work, and then another person will be picking another work. Once the person complete the work, and then the next requirement will be picked. Okay, the main thing they call the requirement as a story. Okay, even in Scrum and also in Kanban. So the requirement we will be calling as a story. There's a specific format a requirement have to be written. So there are likewise there are several things out there, but if I keep explaining everything, then the video will go for 30 minutes or 1 hour. So we can have some separate session on this Scrum, Agile and all. But for the people who are want to understand the fundamentals of software testing, so it's necessary to understand the Scrum model, so that if you go and work on a software company, it will be beneficial. If you're already working on a company, you understand how it works and you can work accordingly, right? Now, whatever we have seen so far, see, we have seen about waterfall model, iterative model, and then agile methodology and Scrum model. Now, we haven't discussed this with requirement, or we haven't discussed with an example, right? I always like giving examples, because theoretically, even then you talk about some way how it works and all those things, but examples will be storing on your mind, and you won't be forgetting that, and it will register very clearly in your mind how the system and all these things works. Okay, so let's come back to the example. Now I'm working on a, so think about it. You are going to work on a Scrum model. Okay, there are team of 10. Okay, and then you are a tester, because here we are discussing testing. So you are a tester. How it works, I'm giving a very small and rough example. In the first iteration, they'll be working on a login screen. So what how it works is, so you are a tester. Now the sprint planning, they'll be planning how are we going to do the login, and then they'll be doing the implementation. They will be actually performing the code. They will be writing the code and all those things. And then you are a tester, so you'll be doing the testing for the login screen. After testing is completed, the final review will be happening. So you'll be demoing it to the product owner or business owners, and everything is done. So that means that login functionality you have started in the sprint is successfully coded, implemented, came for testing, tested, and it has been demoed to the POs, product owners. Finally, you retrospect how the sprint works. That's it. This is an iteration. Now you move to next iteration. In next iteration, what you do, you prepared a login screen, right? You created a login screen. Now here you will, the login screen you created here will be there. Again, on top of it, you will add another functionality, home page. So in the sprint planning, you'll be discussing how to develop this home page. On top of it, how to accommodate login and home page together here. I mean, how to accommodate the sense, after login, it should go to the home page. So the interaction should also be developed here. Also, the home page should also be developed here. So all those planning will be happening, and then the coding and implementation for the login and home page will be happening here. And the tester will test the login and home page. After testing is completed, he will be giving a demo of how the software is working to the product owners. Once that is completed, the team will sit and review how that iteration went, and how the sprint went, all those things. And then next, they will go to login homepage and adding a item or cart, other additional functionality into the system. So that is how this iteration will be happening for 5, 6, 7, 8. Depends on the size of the product. It will just grow. It will be very large. Sometimes it will be very small. Sometimes, right? Now you understood how it works, right? Because so far whatever we have discussed, I was saying that okay, you have to do requirement analysis, design, blah blah blah, everything, but you might not get it what I'm actually saying. But you can relate it like, okay, requirement analysis, so requirement analysis or planning or nothing, but the screen that you are going to see is login. For that login screen, you are going to work on this cycle. So plan, implement, test, and all those things. Once this is done, you're going to log in and you develop the home page as well. So that will be happening here. And then next screen you can do a login home page and log out. And then you add another functionality. That is how it works. This is how a software product will be developed in Scrum model. Agile, Agile, Agile methodology and then Scrum model. Very important to understand these models carefully so that you can work effectively as an Agile tester. Okay, and so as the team says it's flexible, so testers should also be flexible here. So adapt to the change and adapt to the customer change. The customer is proposing a change, adapt to it and test it accordingly. And we have to, we as a tester, you have to keep that mentality. You have to read the principles of Agile, and also you also should follow the principle. Okay, so I'll just give an example. Responding to change over the following a plan. There may be a plan, but you don't need to follow. If a customer is proposing a change and the team accepts this, you should be able to adapt and respond to the change effectively. All right. So I think I have given you all a very good a very good session on the software development, different life cycle, different models, and what is agile methodology and what are the models in agile methodologies. And it's actually a very huge topic, guys. Trust me, it will go for a very long time, but I try to minimize it as much as possible, and I gave this session. So I hope you got good benefit out of it, and we will see more about software testing lifecycle in the next sessions. Thank you.